Hey guys, I'm coming to you from my favorite spot in the house to do my first ever video as I'm getting ready this weekend for a wedding expo. I know that a lot of you guys are really interested in vendor events and maybe aren't really sure what that entails, so I thought I would share some tips with you based on the bridal expo that I did in October and then a bunch of holiday fairs that I did. So here goes. First thing is to keep in mind that there's really two types of events. There's professional events that are a huge production and those normally cost a little bit more. And then there's ones that are more for DIY and craft vendor fairs. So it's super important that you know your audience and the expectations of you and your presentation are going to be a lot higher at a professional event. And so you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself and setting up your booth and presenting Jamberry in a way that's going to be on the same level as the other professional booths that are set up around you. Again, it's your business. You can do this the way that you want, but that's what I found. People are going to expect a much higher level of quality and a much bigger setup at something that's more of a professional event. You can be a little more relaxed and a little more laid back at one that's more like a holiday fair where you have lots of handmade items. So rule number one, be excited. People are so new to Jamberry. You are constantly the first person to tell somebody about Jamberry, and I love to be in that position. There's nothing as exciting to me as asking somebody if they've ever heard of Jamberry and hearing them say no. Because my goal immediately is that I'm going to become their Jamberry consultant. So I view everybody who approaches me, who comes anywhere within range of my booth, as a potential consultant first, a potential customer second, and then just a potential contact third. So the second thing would be initiate conversations. Don't wait for people to come to you. When people are checking out vendor events and they're checking out different booths, if they're at a professional one that is directed at a certain market, then you want to quickly assess if they're part of that market. For example, at a bridal expo, you're going to have brides, you're going to have mothers, you're going to have best friends, and you want to approach them as they're walking by the booth. They're so overwhelmed with information that learning about a new product isn't even something that's on their checklist. So as people walk past the booth, you initiate a conversation and say, hey, have you ever heard of Jamberry? When they say, no, I haven't, then you want to have a 30-second story. You want to anticipate their objections. You want to talk about removal. You want to talk about cost. And you want to talk about style and how it's going to be useful to them. For example, my 30-second story is, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get to tell you about it. So Jamberry wraps are a non-toxic alternative to polish, and I put my hand out there for them to see my Jamberry wraps. They are a non-toxic alternative that has a heat-activated non-toxic gel adhesive on the back. So you apply them yourself, and once you get the hang of it, it takes about 10 minutes to do a full manicure. They don't damage your natural nails like acrylics do, but if you love acrylics, they can be applied over acrylics too. They last up to 2 weeks on fingernails and 6 weeks on toes, and they're an amazing value. So let me show you what a sheet of them looks like, and you get all of this for $15, which gives you 2 or more manicures and at least 2 pedicures. That's it. That's what I do. A lot of times then I'll follow up and I'll say something like, you know what, we have a sample station set up over here. Take about 1 minute for me to walk you through applying a sample. Would you like to try one? If they say yes, great. If they say no, then I say, totally understand. We're having a big giveaway, so if you want to be entered in the drawing, would you fill out a contact sheet? Once they fill out the contact sheet, then I can take that one step further. While they're filling out the contact sheet, I can say something like, how many people are in your bridal party? Are you guys planning on having your nails done? Are you looking for professional salon services or something that you can do yourself? So that I can continue to talk to them based on the answers they're giving me. So you want to have your 30-second story, but you also want to be responding to them and what their needs are. For example, the bridal event that I went to in October, I had one bride in particular who was not really interested, and she's like, oh, I'm all natural. I'm not really into that. And I said, I totally get that. Let me talk to you about the cuticle oil. You might really love that. While I was doing that, her mom was filling out the contact information. So obviously her mom is interested. Her interest is piqued by the product. So I talked to her mom. Her mom applied a sample. And then I said, you know what? you really seem to be enjoying these. I'm letting people who book a party with me take a half sheet home with them today. So we got a party on the books, my first ever home party, and it's one of the best parties I've ever had, and I have a customer for life. But it was the mother of the bride. So you want to be flexible. You want to be in a position to respond to them and to what they need. When I did a bunch of holiday fairs leading up to Christmas, most people were still purchasing for themselves, even though they were there intending to buy gifts for others. They were purchasing for themselves, and then sometimes they were purchasing for a neighbor. I talked about teacher gifts and babysitter gifts. And then I also had things ready to go for granddaughters. I approached men because they need to buy gifts for women. And my goal with everyone was originally to just make contact. And if I got a sale out of it, then that's amazing. If I didn't get a sale and I got future contacts, that's even better. So, samples, that's totally up to you. And you can get them on other vendors if you can. There's a lot of people who love doing samples at vendor events, and then there's people that just want to focus on contacts, and they don't spend as much time on vendor events. This is working from home. Bye, son. Have a good practice. Violet, I'll be downstairs in just a minute, okay? Okay. Work at home, mom. So I personally love doing samples at the bridal expos because people tend to be taking their time and really investigating the product. But we had at least 2 people at our bridal event, and so we could be walking somebody through a sample and still not missing anybody coming past our booth. But when I did holiday fairs, a lot of times it was just me, and people really were just perusing, and I had very, very few samples applied at those, and I really didn't push for samples. I did, at every opportunity that I had, talk to other vendors at the event. I had several other vendors apply samples, and then by the end of the event, come back and make a purchase. Coming back to the contact sheet, this is amazing, again, for sales, parties, and future consultants. On your contact sheet, you want to make sure that you have information that's going to allow you to respect their preferences and engage them in a way that they actually want to be engaged. The best way to get contact information is by doing a giveaway. So for the Bridal Expo that I have coming up this weekend, we're giving away a buy 3 get 1 free, and we're giving away a mini heater, and we're giving away an application kit. So everybody who fills out a contact sheet is going to get 1 entry into that drawing. Then if they make a purchase, they're going to get additional entries. So we want to keep it super simple. So we're using raffle tickets where they just write their name on the back because we can track them down on the contact sheet. Okay, honey, I'll come start it for you in just a minute, okay? Okay, just a minute. Here you go. You want another fruit snack? Yeah. Here you go. Go sit at the table. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to keep it super simple. We're going to have raffle tickets. It doesn't really matter what number they get because the key is having their name on the back because it's not going to be a live drawing. So for each thing that they do, whether it's filling out a contact sheet and then applying a sample, we're going to give extra 2 entries for booking a party, 2 entries for a Style Box subscription, 2 entries for a purchase. So they just rack up more and more entries. Because there's multiple consultants working this event, then at the end of the event, we're going to split up all of the contacts and we'll do 1 drawing for the big giveaway, but then it's up to each consultant if they want to do something extra. For example, I plan on following up with everyone and giving them a prize of some sort. If I have 50 people fill out contact sheets that I go home with, then I probably can't contact them and say, well, you didn't win the big prize, but you got a runner-up prize of a half a sheet. I can't really do that for 50 people, but I can do that for 20 people. I have enough in my inventory that I can do giveaways that way. So I'm going to be continually looking for opportunities to make contact with them after the event. In terms of how you divide things up, that's totally up to you. My preference is that we share our inventory. We have a tracking system that we just use a spreadsheet. We have 1 person collecting money through PayPal, and then we divide it up later. And then if you actually make a sale or you're the one working with somebody, then you write your name on their contact sheet. Excuse me, fruit snack number 2. you write your name on their contact sheet, so you're the one following up with them, and they go into your contact list that you're going to get back after the event. The last thing that I would say is to keep your booth simple, professional, but also something that's going to stand out. And again, to think about the type of venue that you're going to. You need to have a really well done booth that comes across professionally and presents professionally, especially when you're at a professional vendor event. Keep it simple with 2 colors, and you want it to be really comfortable and accessible to people, because Jamboree is a really comfortable and accessible product. It's not a high maintenance product. And the very last thing that I would say is that love for Jamboree is contagious. We were all exposed to Jamboree in really different ways, but the thing that drew each of us in was that it's an amazing product. And if you're the first person to introduce Jamboree to somebody, then they're going to get excited based on your enthusiasm and love for the product. So I wish you well. I hope that you have an awesome vendor event, and I hope to see you guys all in Dallas at Nationals.